It's time to not only look at the bad lessons that Bluey has left us, but also mix in the responsibility of Chilli and Bandit. Because yes, friends, there are episodes of Bluey where you just think, what the hell?
By the way, a quick shout out to Kingwater Diamond, Fabian Guerrera, Shasha Brown, and Arpit Sharma 4518. Thank you for commenting on the community post for this video. If you want a shout out, make sure to stay active on the channel, comment, subscribe, and share the video. It really helps us keep making content for you guys.
So let's begin. This episode really got out of control, as not only did it have a terrible lesson, but it was also hard to understand. We're referring to the episode Tina, where we need to clarify that the supposed lesson of this episode was for the girls to learn to say please, and not just do things just because. And you might say, but that's a really good lesson for kids. Yeah, it is. But the way they represented this idea was too exaggerated and even violent. To make things clear, Bluey and Bingo weren't even the ones who started this mess. It was Bandit. What a surprise, right?
Surprise, surprise!
The girls were having breakfast, and when they were done, the rude and bossy Bandit simply told them to take their plates to the dishwasher because he was their elder and they had to obey him. Because of course, being older automatically makes you a dictator of the kitchen.
All of you, a lesson in common sense. Get out!
From here, Bandit starts acting really arrogant. His daughters just asked why they had to obey him, and he just needed to give a reasonable answer for Bluey and Bingo to understand. But no, Bandit thought it'll be easier to make his daughters mad instead of clearing up their confusion.
Sounds like a confusion.
Oh, Bandit, how do you expect them to respect you? Honestly, it's annoying and frustrating to have a father that irritating. And then comes the worst part of this episode. Bluey and Bingo create an imaginary friend named Tina, who's bigger than Bandit, and now the smart Bandit is dominated by Tina thanks to the brilliant idea he gave Bluey and Bingo. The little girls start ordering Tina to hit Bandit and make him their slave. But the worst part of this violent game is that even Chilli got involved, and she also took a few good hits. What happened in this episode? I'm sure it didn't even align with Chilli and Bandit's teachings. Did they feel like they were on Jackass or something?
Hello, I'm Johnny Knoxville. Welcome to Jackass.
It's okay to play along with your kids, but not like this. Aside from being bad parents, this episode definitely sets a bad example and wins the prize for the most violent Bluey episode. This next episode, besides being a bad example, not only features Bandit and Chilli as terrible parents. Almost everyone was selfish who just went off to eat and have fun on their own. And of course, I'm referring to the episode called Handstand, where everyone ignored poor Bingo, even though it was her birthday. If you thought the worst thing that could happen at your party was that no guests showed up, it's because you haven't seen this episode. Because even though Bingo's party was full of guests, no one paid her attention except Nana. What's wrong with everyone? Bingo was the birthday girl, and no one cared about her happiness at her own birthday party. They probably didn't do it on purpose, because they kept apologizing every time Bingo tried to show them her handstand. But she wasn't asking them to stay there forever to watch what she had achieved. Chilli should have made Bingo feel included, gathering everyone so they could watch the handstand Bingo was doing. But it seems that at that party, both Nana and Bingo were left out, and that's why they understood each other. But how cruel! Everyone else was just stuffing their faces with cakes! And how irresponsible of Chilli and Bandit not to pay attention to the birthday girl! Honestly, they shouldn't have thrown the party at all. If they were going to ignore Bingo, they might as well have put up a sign that said, "Today, cake party! Bingo not included." This next episode teaches a terrible lesson, and Bandit sets a horrible example of how to be a parent. Honestly, Bandit treats everything as a joke. He should be more concerned about the bad examples he's setting for Bluey and Bingo. This episode is Ragdoll. I don't blame Bandit for wanting to teach Bluey and Bingo good lessons about working hard to earn money. But he didn't need to be so arrogant and smug with the words he used with his daughters. Bluey found a bill lying around the house and invited Bingo so Bandit could take them to buy ice cream. But the jerk Bandit snatched the money away and told them it was his own money. Was there really any need to do that? They're your daughters, not random beggars. I hope that bill is enough for Bandit to buy himself some manners. But let me tell you, Bandit wasn't satisfied with just being rude. On top of that, he tricked his daughters by saying they were gonna buy ice cream. The great Bandit threw himself on the floor, pretending to be a ragdoll. Okay, fine, the lesson is okay at this moment. But letting your daughters try to lift you? Seriously, Bandit, as if you were as light as a feather. Poor girls! It's a good thing they didn't hurt their spines trying to lift such a heavy dog. Even poor Wendy had to deal with Bandit's lazy butt because of his dumb games. In fact, even Wendy herself told them it wasn't right to trick his daughters like that. And this makes it clear that Bandit didn't want to teach any lesson. He just wanted to slack off instead of taking his daughters for ice cream. But the shameless guy kept acting like a jerk and even took advantage of Wendy, getting her to drive them to the ice cream shop, buy the ice cream for his daughters, and take care of Bandit's responsibilities. I can only imagine what Chilli would have said if she had been home. Thanks to Bandit, this episode leaves us with a terrible message, and once again, we see what kind of person Bandit is. Let's face it, he probably didn't even want to have kids. Now we've reached the final episode. This one didn't necessarily teach a bad lesson, but it was more about the behavior of Chilli, Bandit, and the girls. This episode was so awkward that I couldn't even finish watching it. And I'm talking about the episode Smoochy Kiss. Everything started off fine. Chilli was making breakfast while Bluey and Bingo were having fun dancing. But things stop when Bluey doesn't like one part of the song.
All the small things. What a bear. Pinky rings. The guy give a.
That's when Chilli steps in and tells them that they have to accept both the good and the bad, just like she accepts Bandit with all his faults. And up to this point we're doing great. But the way they represent this lesson is too disgusting and irritating, and you'll see why. Suddenly Bandit shows up all sweaty because he had just been running, and Bluey and Bingo try to stop Chilli from giving him a kiss, because a moment earlier she had said Bandit makes mistakes. And this is where this annoying and unnecessary game begins. Bluey and Bingo take Bandit away from Chilli so they can't kiss. And that's basically the whole episode. Bluey and Bingo hiding Bandit from Chilli, until Bluey realizes that Bandit smells worse than a garbage dump and tells them to get lost. And then things flip, and now Bluey and Bingo are trying to keep Chilli away from Stinky Bandit. But honestly, the examples they give are just too disgusting. We see Bandit with sweaty armpits that smell awful. Then he pees on his leg, and then cleans himself with Bluey's shirt. And the usual, Bandit farting all over the place. Did they really need to show all of that? But things get even worse when Bandit starts mentioning Chilli's bad habits. So, just so you know, Chilli isn't as clean as she looks. Bandit only stopped because Chilli gave him the death stare. And I don't even want to imagine what else Chilli does. The lesson was fine, but what was up with that disgusting representation? Instead of enjoying it, it just made me want to throw up. Also, what did Bluey and Bingo's behavior add to the story? They just made this episode worse. And in the end, Chilli manages to give Bandit a kiss, and that's the end of the story. I still don't understand the point of this episode. Why make it so complicated and even disgusting? What happened to them? Were they affected by Tina or the episode where they all got beaten up? I don't know, Rick. But this episode was a big disappointment. And lastly, we have a honorable mention. When Bandit peed on the street in front of his daughters and his neighbor Wendy. The lesson is that when you can't use your own bathroom, just go outside, no matter if there are people watching. Though I wouldn't really follow this lesson, since it could get you in jail. Anyway, these are all the episodes where not only were they bad parents, but they also left us with a terrible lesson. Leave a comment about which Bluey episode is your least favorite.